Here's a question nobody is asking. If relationships are failing at record rates, and more people feel lonely than ever before, why is everyone still giving the same tired advice? Communicate more. Love yourself first. The right person will come. And yet, more breakups, more silent apartments, more people scrolling alone at 2 a.m. Here's what nobody will tell you. Modern relationships are not failing because people love each other less. They're failing because we were handed a completely broken map and told it leads to love. Today I'm going to show you exactly what that broken map looks like, why it's destroying relationships before they even begin, and, most importantly, what actually builds something that lasts. A few years ago, there was a couple. Let's call them Daniel and Maya. To everyone on the outside, perfect, matching outfits, surprise dates, 500 comments on every post saying relationship goals. But behind closed doors, Maya had stopped telling Daniel when things hurt her. Not because she stopped caring, but because the one time she did, he got defensive. So she learned to keep the peace and hide the pain. Daniel felt it too. He sensed she was pulling away, but every time he tried to bring it up, they ended up arguing about something else. So he stopped bringing it up. And slowly, two people who genuinely loved each other became strangers living in the same house, until one night, Maya looked at him and said something that ended everything. "I'm not angry at you. I'm just tired of pretending I'm okay." He didn't understand. She'd seemed fine. That was exactly the problem. The relationship didn't end because of a big betrayal. It ended because of 1,000 tiny silences. Now, here's the part that nobody talks about, and it might make you uncomfortable. We've been taught that the biggest threat to a relationship is something dramatic like cheating, lying, or a massive fight. But that's not what kills most relationships. Most relationships die quietly. They die in the gap between what you're feeling and what you're willing to say out loud. Here's the counterintuitive truth. Conflict isn't what destroys relationships. Avoided conflict is. Every time you don't say what's hurting you, every time you swallow resentment to keep the peace, every time you answer "I'm fine" when you're not, you're making a small withdrawal from the emotional bank account of the relationship, and one day the account hits zero. Not with a dramatic scene, with nothing. Just nothing left. Therapists call this accumulated distance. I call it slow suffocation. And the terrifying part? Both people usually feel it happening, but neither one knows how to stop it. So why does this keep happening? Because modern culture has turned relationships into a performance. Think about it. From the very first date, you're performing. Performing confidence, performing indifference, performing how busy and fulfilled your life already is. Then it becomes a relationship, and the performance continues. Performing happiness online, performing how unbothered you are during arguments, performing strength when you're scared. And here's what nobody tells you about performances. You cannot be truly loved by someone who has only ever seen your performance. They are in love with a character, and one day you'll be too tired to play that character anymore. This is why so many people feel deeply lonely inside their own relationships. They have a partner. They have plans, routines, anniversaries, but nobody in their life knows what they're actually afraid of. Nobody knows what they look like when they've truly fallen apart. That's not intimacy. That's cohabitation. Real intimacy is terrifying precisely because it requires you to show someone the parts of you that aren't impressive, the insecurities, the contradictions, the wounds you don't understand yourself. And when two people can do that and stay, that's when something real is built. Now I want to challenge something most relationship creators get completely wrong. Everyone blames social media for making people compare relationships. And yes, that's real. But the deeper damage, social media didn't just make people compare their relationship to others. It made people compare their relationship to their own highlight reel. You remember the beginning, the butterflies, the late-night conversations, the feeling that this person was a miracle. And now you're arguing about whose turn it is to do the dishes. So you think, something must be wrong. The spark is gone. We've changed. But here's what's actually true. The intensity of early love was never meant to stay at that level. It was a biological invitation to get close, not a permanent state. Real love is what grows after that intensity fades. The problem is that modern culture has no template for that growth. We have 1,000 movies about falling in love. We have almost none about what it looks like to choose each other, again and again when it's hard. So people mistake depth for distance. They mistake comfort for stagnation, and they leave relationships that were actually becoming something real. Now I want to say something that's going to be uncomfortable. Most people watching this are waiting for a partner who will finally make them feel seen, finally feel safe, and finally feel enough. And the painful truth is, no partner can give you what you haven't allowed yourself to receive. If you believe, deep down, that the real you is unlovable, you will find evidence for that belief in every relationship you enter. You'll misread kindness as pity. You'll mistake someone's need for space as rejection. You'll push away the people who get closest because closeness feels dangerous. This isn't a character flaw. It's a wound, and wounds need to be treated, not hidden. The most important relationship work you will ever do is not finding the right person. It's becoming someone who can actually let the right person in. That means therapy, if you need it. It means sitting with discomfort instead of immediately soothing it. It means learning to say, I'm scared, instead of I'm fine. None of that is glamorous. None of it gets posted online. But it is the actual work. So what does it look like when it works? It doesn't look like a perfect couple. It looks like two imperfect people who have decided that honesty matters more than comfort. It looks like a conversation that begins with, "This is hard for me to say, but." It looks like someone who stays in the room when the conversation gets painful. Instead of leaving. Instead of going cold. Instead of pretending it'll fix itself. The couples who make it aren't the ones who never fight. They're the ones who have learned to fight toward each other, not away from each other. Real love is not the absence of conflict. It's the courage to stay present through it. That's what nobody posts online. That's what no algorithm rewards. But that is what lasts. Before you go, I want to ask you one question. Not about your partner. About you. What is one thing you're currently not saying in your relationship or in your life because you're afraid of how it will land? Drop it in the comments, even anonymously, because sometimes naming the thing is the first step to changing it. And if this video gave you something to think about, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Not to tell them something about their relationship, just to remind them they're not alone. I'm here every week with content that most people are too scared to make. Subscribe to Relationship Lab Files, and I'll see you in the next one.